Okay, so I think it is 7:30 Indian time. It's time to start. Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning back in to this third of 4 sessions on the profound Vajra Cutter Sutra. I think I've seen all of you here at the previous sessions, so maybe with the exception of Adele. So welcome back, or welcome for the first time. Anyway, my name is Tenzin Namjong, and let's just get into it. No time to waste. So again, the most important thing to emphasize is to set a very positive motivation. So please think that the purpose of my life is to benefit others. And in order that I may be able to be of utmost benefit to others, I myself must first achieve the state of complete enlightenment, characterized by the complete eradication of all faults of the mind, as well as the complete development of all the good qualities. And in order to do that, I need to learn about all the various stages of practice. And therefore, I'm going to attend this lecture here today. And also to especially think that, in particular, since this teaching is on emptiness, may I be able to realization of emptiness, and then also be able to teach others how to do the same. Okay, so let us start with the preliminary prayers that we did last weekend as well. I think it's very good. So again, we can already at the beginning visualize in the space around us all the sentient beings. In the space in front of us, our Guru in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha. And remembering that our Guru is the embodiment of all the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And we think that we're going to be, listening to these teachings with all the sentient beings. And here before the teachings, we're going to recite these praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, as well as the the Heart Sutra with all the sentient beings. So then remembering the qualities of Shakyamuni Buddha and aspiring to develop those qualities within ourselves, then we recite this praise. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata Nor, the world supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate and make offerings and go for a age. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata Nor, the world supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata Nor of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean, like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the three worlds are not incomparably wise one to you, I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality. To the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community, intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all those worthy of respect, bound with bodies as many as all atoms, realms, and all aspects with supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the fold of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, so now before we do the Heart Sutra, again, remember the mantra to multiply the benefit of reciting. Taita om dari dari bendari soa, 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 taita om dari dari bendari soa. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem, thus did I hear at one time. Bhagavan was dwelling on Master Vulture's mountain in Vajracchedikā, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no taste, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element up to and so on, up to including no mind element and no mental conscious element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell on the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear, having completely passed beyond error to reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared Tayata Gata Gata Paragata Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of me, it is like that, it is like that. Once you practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the worlds of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandhavas, were overjoyed and highly praised. That's spoken by the Bhagavan. I and all surrounding sentient beings go for refuge to the Buddha, go for refuge to the Dharma, go for refuge to the Sangha. We prostrate to the Great Mother Prajñāpāramitā, wisdom gone beyond. Surrounded by all the children and by the assemblies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, by my prostration, depending on my prostration to all of you, may these words of truth be actualized. In the past, the King Indra and his brother Mars, by reflecting on the profound meaning of the wisdom gone beyond and reciting of the Great Mother Prajñāpāramitā, recite the profound words of the recitation. May all diseases, spirit possession, bad condition, all negative directions, that which happens due to past karma and immediate conditions, may all this be dispelled, may it become non-existent, may it be pacified. I prostrate to the gathering of the kidneys and the 3 chakras who abide in the whole yoga using space. By your powers of clairvoyance and magical emanation, looked after practitioners like a mother her child. Akasamara shasadara samarayape, akasamara shasadara samarayape, akasamara shasadara samarayape, akasamara. Akasamara shasadara samarayape, ayata kate kate para sangha swaha. By the teaching of the 3 supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be pacified. Shinten Kuriya Soa. May all negative forces opposed to Dharma be completely pacified. May the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified. May we be separated from problems and harmful conditions to Dharma. May all enjoyments be accorded with the Dharma, and may there be the auspiciousness and perfect happiness here right now. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my merits of giving. By the merits of teaching the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merits of teaching the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits from teaching the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, you switched right in time for the last sentence. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Oh, sorry. Sorry, my computer is switched off. I'm giving you a view of my keyboard. All right. Okay, so just maybe a few things to review from last week. Okay. So hold on just 1 second here. Okay. All right. So anyway, last week we had 2 sessions, and in those 2 sessions, first we talked about a general presentation of the Dharma. Why do we practice Dharma? And we were saying that in general, it's because, well, with everything that we do, we want to avoid suffering and want to enjoy happiness. And so we use the Dharma in general as tools to transform our mind, to help eliminate the root causes of suffering, and to generate the causes for happiness and, well, the state beyond all suffering. And so then we talked about these Prajñāpāramitā teachings, or the perfection of wisdom teachings in particular. And here we're saying that, there are these sort of two temporary kind of goals when we talk about the elimination of suffering. So we have, even within samsara, or the uncontrolled cycle of rebirth due to our karma and afflictions, there are the relative good states of rebirth in the higher realms, like a human or deva, and there's the relative suffering of the lower realms, the hell beings, the hungry ghosts, and the pretas. And so, in general, the first sort of job that we have as Dharma practitioners is to try to avoid getting reborn in the lower realms and trying to get a good rebirth in our future life. And that is done through respectively abandoning the causes for rebirth in lower realms, the negative actions, and to accumulate as much as possible the causes for higher rebirth, which is virtue. And that's why in this stanza from the Dhammapada, do not commit a single negative action, perform only perfect pure actions, right? That's the first two lines. That's the point of that, right? But then our second and sort of more long-term goal is to, be free from even any kind of rebirth within samsara. Because as we know, then even in the relatively good rebirth, like a human rebirth, then we still experience all kinds of suffering. We experience the suffering of birth, aging, sickness, and death, meeting with things we don't want, being separated from things we do want, dissatisfaction. So all of these things that we know quite well from our own experience. And therefore, to be free of even the higher states where are still categorized by the suffering of samsara, the general sufferings of samsara, then we need to be free of or rid ourselves from the causes of samsara in general, which the Buddha had first identified as karma and afflictions, right? And so of those two, then the primary driver, the primary cause is the afflictions, because, and sorry, I hope all of you, this is a review for you, right? But why between karma and afflictions is the afflictions primary? Well, there's two reasons that Lama Tsongkhapa states in the Lamrim, right? So first is, even for the sake of argument, if we were to purify all of our contaminated karma that we've accumulated since beginning this time, right? Then if we haven't rid ourselves of the afflictions, then in the very next moment, then we would accumulate more karma. And even one karmic imprint will then have the power to propel us into another rebirth. And if some of you have studied the 12 links of dependent origination, you'll know then, after we take another rebirth, then every moment we are accumulating more causes for samsara rebirth, okay? And then the other reason why the afflictions are primary is that at the time of death, then it is the, again, talking in the 12 links, we have the craving and grasping, right? I think links 9 and 10, which then activate a previously accumulated karmic imprint in the mind stored on the mental continua. And then that, after that is activated, it becomes the 11th link, that of existence, which is basically, a fully sort of empowered and activated karmic imprint that then causes link 12, the link of rebirth. So when we are free from the afflictions, then we will be free from activating those previously accumulated karmic imprints. So even if we have so many left in our continuum, just like when a seed, even if there's a whole storehouse of seeds, but they never meet with moisture, heat, soil, fertilizer, and so forth, they won't give rise to a sprout. In the same way, those who have abandoned the afflictions, we're talking about, even arhats, they have a lot of previously accumulated karmic imprints within their continuum, but since they don't meet with the cooperating condition of the afflictions that would then propel next rebirth within samsara, they, that's what the whole attainment of liberation or nirvana is. Okay. So that's our sort of more long-term goal, to be rid of the afflictions. But then we inquire, okay, if we want to be rid of the afflictions, well then, the root of the afflictions is this dakzen marikpa, or the ignorance that grasps onto or holds onto true existence. And so here, then I think many of you know the great Indian master Dharmakirti. He wrote in the Pramanavartika that first we have the idea of the self, then we have the idea of others, and then all the other mental afflictions arise from that. So we are saying that once we have this sense of the self, then we have the sense of other, and then the things that we see helping the self, being good to ourselves, we develop clinging attachment. The things that we see harming the self, we develop aversion. So really, this idea of the self isn't, again, what we mentioned yesterday, these two levels of reality, right? So it's not that when we talk about selflessness, that, I don't exist or you don't exist, but this self that is, we can say truly existent, a self that is established from its own side, a self that is independently existent without relying on or without depending on other phenomena, that type of self doesn't exist. Yet the ignorant mind will cling on to it and believe that such a thing does exist, and therefore, independence on that, all the other mental afflictions arise. So the actual path to be free of these afflictions then is to analyze the whether the object held on to the ignorant mind, grasping to the self, right? Whether that object, that observed object, exists or not. And then through our analysis, we determine it doesn't. And then that discovery serves as the direct antidote to the mind that clings on to or believes that it does. Okay? So that is the path. And that's the path followed by those desiring liberation from samsara. Okay? So those of you who have taken Lama teachings before, then you'll know, you'll be able to relate those two practices as the main practice of the practitioner of the initial capability, as well as the medium capable being, however you want to translate, right? Yes. Okay. Good. All right. But now, as Lama Tsongkhapa says, that it's not sufficient that the teaching be a Mahayana teaching, right? But our motivation has to be a Mahayana motivation. Okay. So now we're studying this, Mahayana Sutra, the Sutra of the Perfection of Wisdom. And we also went into what it means for something to be a Mahayana Sutra, right? And to review again, I know it's on the tip of all of your tongues, but in this context, it means that the intended disciple of this sutra is a Mahayana practitioner. And what makes someone a Mahayana practitioner is the motivation with which they undertake their practice is motivated by great compassion that not only wishes that all sentient beings be free from suffering, but takes on the personal responsibility, takes on the burden, as it were, of freeing all sentient beings from their suffering. So, yeah, that is the mind of great compassion. Or we also talked about the 7-point cause and effect instructions. That's number 6. Okay. So this is important. The intended disciples of the Mahayana Sutras according to the textbooks of Sarah J, written by Jessen Chögyal Gyaltsen, they don't necessarily have to be bodhisattvas, right? But they at least have to have the number 6 of the 7 cause and effect instructions, right? Which is what we say they've awakened their Mahayana lineage. Okay, so that number 6, as we mentioned, the father-like compassion and the mother-like compassion, we were saying that even the so-called Hinayana Arhats have number 5, the wish that all sentient beings be free from suffering. But that extra step to take personal responsibility, saying, I myself will free them all from their suffering, that is only found in those who have awakened their Mahayana lineage. Okay. All right. Then we also had a little bit of a tangent, saying at this point in one's development, the sharp facultied will be bodhisattva disciples, right? After they reach number 6 and they take responsibility to free all sentient beings from their suffering, then they inquire, is there a state that exists that would enable them to actually, attain the state of enlightenment? Is enlightenment possible? Is the ignorance that grasps onto true existence, is that an object that can be abandoned through a path of practice? They do all these inquiries. And then we were saying they actually then come to realize emptiness before they develop the mind of bodhicitta. So this is the reasoning that Jessen Chögyal Gyaltsen uses to say that there can be intended disciples of these perfection of wisdom sutras that are not bodhisattvas yet. And he's talking about the sharp faculty of bodhisattvas, although they have generated the mind of great compassion, then they enter into engaging in studying and reflecting on the meaning of these Prajñāpāramitā Sutras, and then they would realize emptiness before they generate the mind of bodhicitta. Do you understand? Okay. So, good. All right. But in any case, this mind of bodhicitta then, whether we realize emptiness first or not, it is the 7th step in the 7-point cause and effect instructions, where we see after we have the thought, I will free all the sentient beings from their suffering and bring them to the state of enlightenment. Then we look at our current condition, see we don't have the skills, the ability to do so. We see that we ourselves are not free from suffering, and therefore, how could we possibly free others from their suffering? And then, whether we hear that there is a state of enlightenment that is characterized by the eradication of all faults, and therefore one becomes omniscient, and we sort of, take our guru's word for it, and then aspire to attain that state, right? That's the path of the followers of faith. Or we do like the strong, sharp facultied followers, the followers of reasoning, and investigate and realize emptiness, realize that the ignorance grasping to true existence is a wrong view and therefore can be abandoned, and therefore realize the possibility of enlightenment, and thereby, after that, generate the mind of wishing to achieve that state for the benefit of all sentient beings. That is when the mind of bodhicitta is generated. Okay? So, however we do, and then for our teachings, this is what I was saying, right? Our own, us here on this Zoom call and the YouTube live stream, our own motivation has to be like that. Thinking that whatever it takes, I'm going to achieve the state of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and therefore I'm going to engage in this teaching here. Okay? All right. So then we started into the sutra, and then the first sort of meaty, interesting passage that we talked about was after the Venerable Subhuti asks the Buddha how one who has entered the Mahayana path, how they should train, how they should direct their mind. And then the Buddha basically says, well, those who have entered the Mahayana path should generate the mind of enlightenment thinking, as many beings as exist in all the various types of existence. Then I shall lead them all to the state of nirvana without remainder of the aggregates. But as many sentient beings, that have been led to the state of nirvana, then no sentient being whatsoever will be led to nirvana, right? And then the Buddha says, if there is a bodhisattva who engages in discriminating a sentient being, they're not to be called a bodhisattva, right? Then we had some final exam questions that are nice, right? We were then asking, well, what did the Buddha mean by that, saying that, as many sentient beings that are liberated and led to the state of nirvana, then no sentient being whatsoever has been liberated. And then asking why a sentient being, why a bodhisattva who engages in discriminating a sentient being, why they should not be called a bodhisattva. Okay? Right? So, last time I had a few very brave volunteers who offered up their reasons. And, as important as it is to have the right answer, it's also important to know why other answers that might be given, why they might leave something to be desired, right? So we had two kinds of basic reasons or attempt at answering this question, right? And the first was, well, that discrimination means kind of in the sense of making a difference, differentiating, at all between sentient beings, because all sentient beings are equal. All sentient beings equally want to have happiness and equally want to suffer. So if a bodhisattva engages in discrimination in this way, and this would be kind of like, oh, this one is better than that one, right? I'll help this one, but not that one, right? Then they would not be called a bodhisattva, right? And then the second kind of answer that was given was more on the sort of ultimate nature. I think, Jai, it was you who were talking from the standpoint of ultimate nature. Then, all sentient beings are equal in the sense of being equally free of true existence. And therefore, if there is one tries to, differentiate on the basis of the ultimate, then, there is no difference on the ultimate nature. So they would also not be called a bodhisattva, right? Okay. So here, in answering that, I mentioned that the commentary written by Chone Drakpa Shedrup, the one commentary I found on the sutra, I think it's the only one that exists. So he's saying that here discrimination means discriminating true existence, right? So here, if a bodhisattva engages in discriminating a truly existent sentient being, they're not to be called a bodhisattva. But just so we're clear, on top of that, right, I just wonder, when I was thinking about the answers that we were given last week, so, we were talking about the 7-point cause and effect instructions, yeah? And so actually, even a prelude to those 7-point cause and effect instructions is equanimity, right? Yeah? Equanimity. And here the equanimity means to eliminate those senses of friend, enemy, stranger, okay? So it seems that the people who are talking about, if a bodhisattva were to discriminate a sentient being, right, they're not to be called a bodhisattva. I wonder then, is that kind of bodhisattva even possible, right? Because the kind of discrimination that they, I think, are talking about is discriminating between friend, enemy, stranger, right? And that, since that's step 0 in the 7-point cause and effect instructions, by the time one is a bodhisattva, one no longer, has those categories of friend, enemy, stranger. Is that right? Right? Okay. So yeah, I kind of wonder about that. So in any case, then the other thing that we were talking about, right? And this is the most important thing, and why I was saying we need to look at the previous paragraph where it's saying that, as many sentient beings as exist, then no sentient being, has been led to, as many sentient beings have been led to nirvana, then, no sentient being has been led to nirvana. Then, I was saying in these Prajñāpāramitā Sutras, we need to distinguish between the conventional and ultimate, these two levels of truth, right? And so on the conventional level of truth, then of course there are many differences between sentient beings. I was mentioning, dogs and cats have tails, elephants have tusks, humans have whatever other attributes, formless realm beings have other attributes, and all the sentient beings have their own particular kind of attributes, right? So yeah, if we then sort of deny that conventional level of reality, then we fall into a type of nihilism, actually. So yeah, I was basically just saying one kind of tip whenever we read these Prajñāpāramitā Sutras is to sort of always understand when the Buddha is denying something, whether he is denying it on the conventional or ultimate level, right? So for example, we read the Heart Sutra at the beginning of this, and you often read the Heart Sutra at the beginning of your teachings, right? So, when the Buddha is talking, there is no form, no feeling, no sound, no discrimination, and so forth, right? Then the Buddha is talking about which level of reality? Ultimate. Yes, right? Remember, the kind of rule of thumb I gave was, those people who are untrained in philosophy, right? If you ask them, do eyes, do ears, do noses, do tongues, do bodies, do minds, do they exist? And what would they say? They would say yes. So, rule of thumb, right? Conventionally, then those things do exist. So therefore, conventionally, we cannot deny that existence. But now, I know this is a commentary on the Vajra Cutter Sutra, but you get a bonus commentary on the Heart Sutra. The most important thing here, right, is, in emptiness, there is no eye, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, right? So what that actually means is, in the, right, Arya beings, in the perspective of the Arya beings, meditative equal poise on emptiness, there is no eye, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, right? Understand? So let's take a little bit of a step back. Okay? We were saying the general way to realize emptiness is to, we identify the object of negation, right? You've heard this? Identifying the object of negation. Here, the object of negation is true existence, right? So we come to understand what is meant by true existence, or to put it another way, if something were, truly existent, what kind of attributes, how would it exist? Okay. Then we analyze whether that type of existence is, true, or whether that type of existence exists. You understand? And through this process of analysis, we come to discover that true existence doesn't exist. Okay? But you see, I think many of you've heard this, right? This analogy of at the time of dusk, right, we see a mottled rope, right? A mottled, multicolored rope, right? And due to the lack of light, then we can come to mistake it as a snake, right? We think it's a snake, but actually, none of the parts of the rope are the snake. Even the whole, rope together is not a snake. So there's nothing there from the side of the rope that we can point to and say, this is a snake, right? So then, though there is the appearance of the snake, actually, that snake has been just merely imputed or fabricated by our own minds. Okay? That's the kind of analogy they use in Prasangika land. Okay. So now, then even a conventionally existent real snake, okay, one that has fangs and venom and whatever, right? So those parts of the snake, yeah, the fangs, the head, the body, the tail, the skin, the inside, right? None of those in and of themselves is the snake, right? And even the entire length, the whole collection of parts, well, is that the snake? No. Okay. So maybe a good answer, or maybe a good guess, right? Or maybe you just heard a few teachings on emptiness before. But yeah, it's not the snake. Yet, there is a snake in your backyard when you have that long body and that collection of parts, right? Okay. So we would say, or maybe not us, but Chandrakirti would say that even that collection of parts of the snake is not the snake, but is rather the basis upon which we label snake, right? We were talking about those three things. There's the basis of imputation, the label, and the mind that affixes the label to the base. Okay. All right. So when those things come together, we have the snake, which is conventionally existent. But now here's the thing. Let's consider what is the difference between us labeling the rope as being a snake and labeling the body, the head, the tail, and all that, the collection of parts of the snake as the snake, right? One of those is valid in terms of the world, and one is invalid, right? When we label the parts of the snake, it's in accord with the world. When we label the rope, the snake, it's false in accordance with the world, right? Okay, but they're both merely labeled. Yes. Okay. So then, what is the difference? I mean, why is it appropriate to label the head and the tail and those parts of the snake? We label that a snake. That's valid. Okay. So I saw a couple hands being raised. So Shanti was first, and okay, you can say.
So conventionally, you can regard it as snake, and the actual snake as a snake rather than a rope, because if you touch it, it might bite you. And if you do a conventional analysis on it as per the real world, you will find a snake, actual snake. It's only in the ultimate sense that it is not, that the snake doesn't exist. Whereas if a rope, if you come close to it, if you do a conventional analysis on the rope, you won't find a snake.
Okay. I like those words that came out of your mouth, but what do you mean then by conventional analysis?
A conventional analysis means something that's not going into the something that a normal person would do with who's not into philosophy or is not going into the nature of existence of the object.
Okay. Pretty good for now. Yeah, very, very good. No, I should not be holding back on my praise. Okay, good. Right. So, do you all understand that? Right. So remember our person untrained in philosophy, right? If you go into, and ask him, bring him to your backyard and say, is there a snake in my backyard or not? Right. Well, first of all, he might say, I don't want to go check if there's a real snake or not. Find someone else to do. But just say he was very brave, he or she was very brave, and maybe it's a not poisonous snake anyway. So then what kind of analysis and what he would do at the end, what he would determine at the end, yes, that would be conventional sort of analysis. Okay. And how you would do that is, maybe getting, if it still were dark, maybe getting a stick, poking the rope or whatever that form is, see if it moves, and whatever kind of analysis you do on a conventional level, right? Okay. But what we're talking about here, for the ultimate level of analysis, how would you analyze on an ultimate level? Okay, Jaya.
They are both mere appearances.
Okay.
Conceived by the mind.
Yes.
So
I'm go ahead.
So they're mere appearances conceived by the mind. So ultimately, they both don't exist, but conventionally they do.
Yes, but what I'm getting at here, okay, we were first talking about, so yes, they might both appear as a snake, right? But on a conventional level, the appearance of a rope as a snake, right, is sort of refuted through conventional analysis, right? The appearance of the whatever body and the parts and all that, the snake as a snake, is not refuted by conventional analysis. Okay. But then we have the second level of analysis where we have the snake also appearing as a truly existent snake, right? And so to determine whether that appearance is in accord with reality, we have to use ultimate analysis, right? Whereas when we analyze whether the rope is a snake, we're using conventional analysis. So I'm trying to find out from you what then makes something a conventional analysis versus an ultimate analysis.
Say that. What is the?
What makes something a conventional analysis, right? Versus what makes something an ultimate analysis. In other words, okay, when we have the appearance of the snake as being truly existent, how then do we analyze whether that appearance is in accord with reality?
I can only say it's a mere appearance. It's a mere appearance, but merely imputed by the mind.
Right. Yes. So those are the right words. Now, here's the thing. Anyway, this is supposed to be my review, but we're going into the real heart of it. Now, so here's the thing, and this is something you should think about. So for us to realize that the the snake or whatever, some conventionally existent phenomena, is merely imputed by the mind, okay? When we say merely imputed by the mind, that is negating true existence, right?
Yes.
Right. When we say merely imputed by the mind, merely means it's not truly existent, right? So then the question is, for us to know that the snake or the table or the pencil or the chair is merely imputed by the mind, do we realize that before or after we realize it's empty of inherent existence? After, right? So we first have to realize emptiness before we realize something is merely imputed by the mind, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so first, why is that?
Because we are always hallucinated and always looking at things, grasping at mere appearance all the time.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Sorry, I'm causing enough trouble. But here's my last thing for food for thought, and then we'll continue on with the text. So, if that's the case, that we have to first realize that something is empty of inherent existence before we realize that it is merely mind, he's breaks time was about, right? He's always saying the truth is bring to mind and repeat by the mind. But as we were saying, without touching the object of negation, even if we as a mantra repeat, oh, this is all merely imputed by the mind, merely imputed by the mind, merely imputed by the mind, a million times, that's it's not actually going to get us any closer to the realization of lack of inherent existence. Or is it? So anyway, all right. My computer's turned off again. Sorry. Okay. So we had those right at the beginning then, and then we were talking about if a bodhisattva engages in discriminating a sentient being, he's not to be called a bodhisattva. And then from there, we were discussing whether first having said that in this context, discriminating sentient being means discriminating that a sentient being or a living being truly exists. And then we said, well, if a bodhisattva engages in thinking that a sentient being truly exists, are they not to be called a bodhisattva? Then are there no bodhisattvas who haven't realized emptiness, right? And so we went into a whole kind of debate about that. I'm not going to get into all of that again, but the point is, there is some discussion about that. And that relates to what we were talking about before with the sharp faculty bodhisattvas and the lower faculty bodhisattvas, whether they realize emptiness prior to generating the minor bodhicitta. So there's a lot of talk about that in the texts, in the traditional commentaries. Okay. All right. So now I wanted to just jump a little bit down into the text where the Buddha is talking about the stream enter. So maybe if you have the text at home, right, then the Buddha says, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the stream enter think I have attained the result of stream enter? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. Why is that? Bhagavan, because one does not enter into anything whatsoever, therefore one is called stream enter. Okay, you find that in the text? Yeah, there it is. No, it's on page 9. You found it at first. Yeah. Right? So second paragraph there. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the stream enter think I have attained the result of stream enter? Okay. So then it goes on into the once returner and non-returner and arhat, right? Okay. So we skipped a bit, but basically, what I wanted to do is just, since we don't have time to go through every word, just take a few other passages, and there might be some vocabulary here that you don't know, right? So does anyone know what a stream enter is? I can't see you anymore. You've done shared screen with the sutra. Okay. So anyway, in the, we're talking about these 3 different vehicles, right? We're talking about the Shravakayana, we're talking about the Prateka Buddhayana, and we're talking about the Mahayana, right? So the Shravakayana, or the hearer vehicle, okay? So all those 3 yanas, by the way, we're talking, maybe you've heard before, there's the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, the path of no more learning, right? So each of those 3 yanas have those 5 paths, okay? And just as we were saying, I think we mentioned last time, the gateway, the door of the Mahayana, is the uncontrived bodhicitta being generated in one's mental continuum, right? So when one generates uncontrived bodhicitta, one enters the path of accumulation, the Mahayana path of accumulation, okay? Anyway, so now we're talking about what a stream enter is, right? So we have the Shravakas, right? The hearers. We're saying the hearers are those who, even in their last life, they hear the teachings of Buddha, put that into practice, and then attain the state of arhatship, right? Okay. They attain the state of Shravaka, arhathood. Okay. So now, just as the attainment of uncontrived bodhicitta is the state, the time when one enters the Mahayana path of accumulation, then one enters the Shravaka path of accumulation when one, having generated the mind of renunciation, wishing to be free from sorrow, and wishing to attain the sort of individual liberation of a Shravaka. You understand? Renunciation, right? Wishing to be free from samsara and wishing to attain the liberation of a Shravaka. Then when one does that in an uncontrived way, right? Then one enters the path of accumulation, Shravaka path of accumulation. Okay. Then one enters the Shravaka path of preparation when one generates a union of calm abiding and special insight that is focusing on emptiness, okay, or selflessness. All right. So now, one attains the state of path of seeing when one not only attains the union of calm abiding and special insight, that is first done, remember, on a conceptual basis, and then one meditates over and over and over again. And one then eventually realizes emptiness directly, right? And the first moment of that direct realization of emptiness then is entering the path of seeing. It's called the path of seeing because one sees emptiness directly for the first time. Okay, so now, some of you might have heard about these, and we touched about it the other time when we were talking about these form and formless concentrations, right? So, we have the desire realm, right? The form realm and the formless realm. The desire realm is where all of we are as humans. And then there's the, all the animals, they're also in the desire realm. And then we have the form realm, these form realm gods, right? And these form realm gods, if you see the explanation in some of the sutras and the traditional texts, then, they don't eat gross food like ourselves, right? They instead survive on, they call it the food of samadhi, right? They have very long lives. They don't get sick. They don't smell, right? They have all these relative advantages compared to the, desire realm beings. Okay. So, one gets born in general in the form realm, right? Remember we were saying at the last second of our, birth in this life, we have the craving and grasping. Craving and grasping activate a previously accumulated karmic imprint. And then that activated one is existence. And then that propels us into the next rebirth. Yes? Okay. So just as there are these three realms, the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm, each of those realms have afflictions associated with them. Okay. So we have afflictions that belong to the class of the desire realm, afflictions that belong to the class of the form realm, and afflictions that belong to the class of the formless realm. Okay. So when one hears about the form realm and, hears about all these good qualities, they don't have to eat, they don't smell, they live very long. Okay. One then develops a kind of renunciation or wanting to be free from rebirth of just the desire realm. Right. Right. And you do that by comparing the relative disadvantages of the desire realm, and the relative advantages of the form realm, right? Okay. So there's a path of practice, and this is actually, it is said that, even the Hindu practitioners, one doesn't have to be Buddhist to do this, but even, Hindu practitioners, after they achieve shamatha, they engage in this kind of meditation of comparing the disadvantages of the desire realm and the advantages of the form realm. And then by doing that, they can temporarily suppress the afflictions belonging to the desire realm, right? Then let's say, in this life, they've developed that. And then at their time of death, they won't have any desire realm afflictions. They'll only have the form and formless realm afflictions. And in this case, let's just say they, at the time of death, no desire realm afflictions, but they have form realm afflictions. That form realm craving and grasping will then activate a karmic disposition that will then propel them to take rebirth in the form realm. You understand? Okay. All right. Okay. So now just hear me out here, because that is going to be important to talk about what it means then to be a stream enter or once returner or non-returner. Okay. All right. So a stream enter, okay, doesn't engage in this type of analysis of the relative advantages of the, form realm and desire realm, right? Prior to them achieving the path of seeing. You understand? So in this sense, they that type of analysis is called a Shirak Nampachen Gilo. Shi is peaceful, Rak is gross, and Nampachen, it means like Nampa is aspects. So it's a mind that meditates on the peaceful and gross aspects of these various realms within samsara. So they don't engage in this type of analysis, right? But they go straight for the analysis on emptiness, ultimate reality. Okay, so prior to them achieving the state of the path of seeing, right, direct realization of emptiness, they haven't temporarily suppressed any of the desire realm afflictions. You understand? All right. So without having engaged in that type of meditation, they then, meditate directly on meditation on emptiness, and then they achieve the path of seeing. Okay. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy amongst the different Buddhist tenet systems, but in general, the Vajracchedikā Prajñāpāramitā will say that this type of Shravaka, okay, when they realize the path of seeing, Shravaka path of seeing, right, without having first done the peaceful and gross analysis, yeah, then they become a stream enter. Okay. For the Prasangika Madhyamika, the stream enter is, remember we were saying, you first have that conceptual realization. You have the conceptual realization, and then that becomes the direct realization, right? But that is of one, when you become path of seeing, it's in one sort of meditative equipoise, right? Right. First, you have you bring up the conceptual realization, you meditate, and in that same session of meditative equipoise, you attain the path of seeing, right? So for the Prasangika, even that same session, they're not yet an Arya being, they haven't attained the path of seeing, but they're in that same meditative equipoise, right? From the beginning of that meditative equipoise, when they are going to attain the state of, path of seeing, they're a stream enter. You understand? Okay, great. All right. Now, that's why we're recording this, okay? Now, once returner, okay? Once returner, where are they returning to? They're returning to taking rebirth in the desire realm due to karma and afflictions, okay? Now, these desire realm afflictions, they're actually divided into 9, okay? We have the big of the big, the medium of the big, the small of the big of the medium of the medium, the small of the medium, the big of the small, the medium of the small, and the small of the small, okay? And they differ in subtlety, right? Okay, so I studied this about 7 years ago, so excuse me. This might be a little bit imprecise, but I think so. When you do this Shirak Nampachen Gi Chupa, this analysis of the coarse and the peaceful, okay, through the power of the meditation, you first abandon or temporarily suppress the big of the big, right? And then you continue to do, and then you get the big of the medium of the big. And you continue, and then eventually you temporarily suppress the small of the small, right? Okay. So the once returner, I think they've abandoned, up to 5 of the desire realm afflictions, or we can say temporarily suppressed. Okay? So before they reach the path of seeing, they have engaged in this other meditation, and they suppress the desire realm afflictions. If they, prior to attaining the realm of seeing, the path of seeing, suppress the 5, and then they directly realize emptiness, okay, attain the state of returner. Okay, so the stream enterer and this once returner, they both are Arya Shravakas. They both are on the path of seeing, the Shravaka path of seeing. Yet one is called stream enterer and one is called once returner. Okay, understand? So then the non-returner has, prior to the path of seeing, abandoned all 9 of the desire realm afflictions. Okay.
Venerable, could you just repeat that part from once returner has temporarily suppressed up to 5? Because I think your sound was cutting out because of the wind or some other.
Okay. Okay. So the once returner has temporarily suppressed 5, right, of the desire realm afflictions. Okay, the non-returner has suppressed all 9 of the desire realm afflictions. Okay, so the non-returner, oh, I think I've cut out. Hello? Are you with me? Okay. So the
we
non-returner,
can hear you right now.
Okay. So the non-returner, remember, once returner, where are they returning to? The desire realm. Okay. So when you have, temporarily attained the state of suppressing up to 5 of the 9 desire realm afflictions, that basically guarantees you only have maximum 1 more rebirth into the desire realm due to your karma and afflictions. If you've suppressed all 9, right, then of course, since you no longer have those desire realm afflictions manifest, right, you won't take rebirth again in the desire realm. Okay, but are they arhats yet? No. Arhats have the afflictions of the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. Okay, so these non-returners, they no longer get reborn in the desire realm due to their karma and afflictions, but they can still then get reborn in the form realm or the formless realm due to karma and afflictions. Okay, now then in the formless realm, they meditate on emptiness and finally attain the state of arhatship. There's also some beings who attain arhatship in the formless realm. Okay, so that's why this presentation is actually given in the what's called the Gendun Nishu, or the 20 Sangha. So there are these actual 20 kinds of categories, right, of these different types of stream enters, different types of once returners, different types of non-returners, different types of arhats, and there's this kind of big different kinds of categorization. Okay, so of course you might think I've given you so much detail right now, but actually that's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, the point is, for you, you need to realize that these in general are talking about different types of Shravaka arhats, and the difference is in how many. Okay, one, if they engage in this meditation on the course and peaceful aspects, if they have, how many of the desire realm afflictions have they temporarily suppressed? Okay. Okay. Is that, you at least get that? Talia? Yes? So, okay. Anyway, because, one could, for example, become a stream mentor first. After you realize emptiness, then you meditate on coarse and subtle aspects, and then, all this stuff. So we're not going to get into all these different permutations, but basically, the kind of heart of it is, how many? They're all Shravaka Arya beings, yeah. But it depends whether they're engaging in these other kinds of meditation. Okay. So according to the Arya beings in the same, that is going to them in the Saccharajika Madhyamika, they are all Shravaka Arya beings. Okay. Anyway, all right. That's a little bit of how do you say? A little bit sidetracked, maybe. But my job, how I'm thinking about my job, is when you then go into this text, that you'll at least understand what all these different terminologies mean, right? Okay. So now that we have the terminology out of the way, okay, then we have to go for the meaning. All right. So now here, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the stream enter think I have attained the result of stream enter? All right. So now, do we have another volunteer? So you don't want to volunteer before you know what you're volunteering about, right? That's very smart. So do we have a volunteer who can then, tell us, do we take this statement from the Buddha at face value? So first, maybe let's ask, does the stream enter think that I have attained the result of stream enter? Huh? So maybe, okay. No. Oh. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. Ephasia, is that right? Ephasia.
Yep.
Okay. So thanks for volunteering. Thanks for no. You can stay unmuted. I have some more questions besides just how do you pronounce your name. I'm going to have harder questions for you. Okay. So you've said the stream enter does not think I have attained the result of stream enter, right?
Right.
Okay. So why not?
Because once you realize stream entry, once you've entered the stream, then one of the aspects of philosophy, I guess, that you've let go of is that belief in that inherent sense of self or that inherent I. So once you've let go, then to believe that you've entered stream entry means that you haven't.
Okay. So now, remember, we were talking these two levels, right? There's the conventional truth and the ultimate truth, right?
Right.
Okay. So hold on. Now, let's fast forward a bit. Okay. So if a stream enter doesn't think I'm a stream enter, does the Buddha think I'm a Buddha?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Okay.
I mean, conventionally he isn't, but conventionally a Buddha is not a Buddha, but ultimately the Buddha is a Buddha. Because conventionally it's all empty, none of it really exists. Well, no, ultimately it's all empty, none of it really exists.
Yes, I think you meant the other way. Okay, so
yeah,
conventionally, conventionally a Buddha is a Buddha, right?
Right.
Okay, so okay, conventionally the Buddha is a Buddha. So does the Buddha think I'm a Buddha?
The Buddha doesn't think anything.
Okay. The Buddha realizes, how let's put it this way. We say, right, the Buddha is the omniscient one, right? The Buddha realizes all phenomena. Okay.
Right.
So does the Buddha realize that he is the Buddha?
Yes.
Okay. So the Buddha realizes he's the Buddha, right? So when I say, does the Buddha think he's the Buddha? If he realizes it, right? Okay.
Right.
So now let's go a step back. Okay. So this stream enterer, now let's put aside the fact, okay, when they arise from their meditation on emptiness, are they now like, wow, I've now realized emptiness directly?
I don't know. I have no experience, but I hear what you're saying. I think, yeah. So I think you realize that you've realized it because you realize that I've let go of my attachment to rites and rituals. I've let go of my attachment to this inherent I or belief in it. So I think you realize that, you have. So you realize that I am at this phase or this stage on the path to enlightenment, but I don't think it's like conceited, oh, I'm now a stream entry, so yay, I'm on to the next one.
Okay. So this is good. This is progress, right? So here again, we have to take these conventional and ultimate levels, right? So conventionally, and we say this, right? You'll have to know I've realized emptiness directly, right? You have to know I'm a Buddha. I have to know I've abandoned the afflictions, right? But so the conventional, and remember, we're not destroying the conventional. So the stream enterer conventionally thinks they're a stream enterer. They conventionally know they're a stream enterer, right?
Right.
So, but ultimately, they don't think, there is a truly existent I that has attained the result of a stream enterer.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yes. So here again, remember, when we're asking these questions, then we have to say, oh, what level of reality is the Buddha talking about? Okay, so I have attained the result. The stream enterer, does the stream enterer think I've attained the result of stream enterer? No. Okay, so then no, the stream enterer doesn't think, ultimately, or the truly existent I has attained the result of stream enterer. And so you can see this, right? Bhagavan is not so wise that Bhagavan, because one does not enter into anything whatsoever, therefore one is called stream enterer. So here again, ultimately, right? One does not ultimately enter into anything whatsoever, therefore one is called stream enterer. Right? One has not entered into form means here this is juk, right? Like umala jukpa, right? Entered into form means entering into a belief that form is truly existent. Entered into belief that sound is truly existent, right? All these things. Okay. So if that stream enterer were to think that a truly existent I has attained the result of stream enterer, that would be grasping of a self, grasping as a sentient being, grasping as a living being, grasping as a person, right? So we saw this before, when the Bodhisattva was told to, I will lead all sentient beings to nirvana without the remainder of the aggregates, but as many as been, no sentient being, because if I thought that would be grasping as a self, as a sentient being, as a living being. Okay? All right. So great. Okay. Okay. So now everyone, we're on the same page. Okay. So now, then you apply that to the once returner, non-returner, and arhat, right? Okay. So all of those beings, will know their own level of realization, right? But they don't grasp at a inherently existent I who has attained those various levels of realization. Okay. All right. So now, with my own screen, I don't like to be spotlighted. I like the gallery view. Okay. All right. So now here's the kind of we got the general presentation. Now let's go for the more difficult one. Okay, and here, sorry, I'm going to confuse you a little bit now. So now, in general, although we say the stream enterer realizes that they are a stream enterer. Okay, so now here's the question. If someone is a stream enterer, do they necessarily realize that they're a stream enterer? Do you understand the question? Okay. Okay, so there's two things. We've said, the general, a stream enterer knows that she is a stream enterer, right? But there's another question. If someone is a stream enterer, do they necessarily realize that they're a stream enterer? This is how we debate on the debate courtyard. Okay, so who says yes? Who says no? Okay. Okay, so Andres, you can unmute yourself. You have won the opportunity to be debated. Okay, so you say not all stream enterers necessarily know that they're a stream enterer. So who do you have in mind? Tell me about the stream enterer who doesn't know they're a stream enterer.
Because if they're stream enterers, they don't necessarily know that how if they have abandoned all the 9 desire realm afflictions you mentioned, because they would have to have.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I should be a poker face while you're not done with your answer.
So they would have to know all their karmic imprints to differentiate if they are gonna be still reborn. I don't know how many times, or they're just non-returner. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Okay, I think so. Thank you for your answer. But let's just review, right? So those stream enterers, right? They haven't engaged in the peaceful and gross analysis. So they haven't temporarily suppressed any of the desire realm afflictions. Okay. Right. Okay. So now with that, now that you know a little bit who a stream enterer is, okay. So we were saying, let me put it this way. This is make it maybe easier, I hope. But would the stream enterer know that they have directly realized emptiness?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So if someone is a stream enterer, would they have necessarily know that they have directly realized emptiness?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
So, okay, then now, if they know that, and they know, because they haven't been meditating on the peaceful and coarse aspects, right? They've studied the text, and they know, they would know they're not an arhat yet, right? They know they're an Arya being, and they know, since they haven't engaged in that other kind of meditation to suppress the desire realm afflictions, then, of the 4 types of, Shravaka Aryas, the only one left is a stream enterer, right?
Yeah.
So
okay.
now are you changing your answer to say that this stream enterer knows he's a stream enterer?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So thank you. But let's see. Does anyone have anything else? Is there a stream enterer who doesn't know they're a stream enterer? Alexander, you've been so quiet.
Well, I'm now not sure because I missed a lot of from the first part of teaching, so I don't want to be like just saying, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I don't know if this is interesting, but these are the kind of things, you know, when you're in the debate courtyard, this is the kind of stuff you debate. So I'll just skip ahead because we're almost out of time. All right. So remember, when one attains the path of seeing, one is in direct meditative equipoise, right, on emptiness. We don't need that screen up. Okay. All right. So one is in direct meditative equipoise on emptiness. I remember, I kind of forgot. We're talking about the Heart Sutra, where we're saying in emptiness, there's no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. And I was saying, in the Arya's meditative equipoise on emptiness, there is no eye, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, right? Okay. And then what I was saying is, sorry, let's forget about the stream enter for a second. You see, when we engage in ultimate analysis, okay, if the eye or the ear or the nose or any conventional phenomena were to exist ultimately, it would be found by the meditative equipoise analyzing emptiness or analyzing the ultimate. Do you understand? Okay, yeah. Okay, so sorry, I got excited with the debate. Okay, remember we're saying grasping to true existence, mind. This is true existence, right? We have this, the ignorance, grasping to true existence. We analyze if this true existence exists or not, okay? Right. The type of analysis we're engaging in is such that if this actually existed, if true existence existed, it should be findable by the mind that is analyzing the ultimate, right? So we get this concept, and that's why this, identifying the object of negation is so important. We get to know what it would actually mean for something to be truly existent, inherently existent. And then we look for it, we analyze, we try to find that true existence, right? We engage in a type of meditation or a type of analysis that if true existence did exist, it would be found at the end of that process of analysis. Since we don't find it, then we conclude it doesn't exist. Do you understand? Right? It's like, I think I said this before, right? But if, this happened to me once in New York, you go out, okay? And let's say you only have two pockets, right? You have your left pocket and your right pocket, okay? So you've left your apartment, you come back to your apartment, you're looking for your keys. And you're like, oh, shoot, did I lose my keys? Then you say, all right, if I have my keys with me, okay, they're either going to be in my left pocket or my right pocket, okay? So you check your left pocket, no keys. Check your right pocket, no keys, right? So then you can conclude, I don't have my keys, right? If you had your keys, at that end of the process of searching for your keys, you would have found them. Since you didn't find them, you can conclude, I don't have my keys. Yes? Okay, so in the same way, yes, there's different types of analysis on emptiness, but they all are such that if true existence existed, it would be found at the end of the analysis, right? So I don't know, what is your favorite way to meditate on emptiness? The four essentials that is normally in Lamrim, right? We have identifying the object of negation, then asserting or determining the pervasion, and then lack of inherent oneness and lack of inherent difference, Okay. So if something were inherently existent, it would be either inherently same or inherently different, right? Since, right? You guys understand? Yes? If something were inherently existent, it would be either inherently same with the aggregates or inherently different from the aggregates, right? Okay. So at the end of the analysis, what do? We first analyze inherent sameness. No. Inherent difference. No. And therefore, at the end of that analysis, since we exhausted our possibilities, we can therefore correctly conclude that inherent existence doesn't exist. Right? Right? So similarly, let's say, for the sake of argument, that inherent existence actually did exist, right? Then in our process of analysis, we would find, inherent oneness. And then if we found inherent oneness, we could then correctly conclude that, inherent existence does exist because, they're inherently one. Okay? You with me? All right. So therefore, the Arya being's meditative equipoise on emptiness, okay? If it found if, for example, the I inherently existed, the I, then the meditative, the Arya's meditative equipoise, analyzing whether the I inherently exists or not, would find the I. So, therefore, all those conventional phenomena do not exist in the face of the Arya's meditative equipoise analyzing the ultimate. If they did, they would be truly existent. Since they don't truly exist, they're not findable. They're not findable by the Arya's meditative equipoise. You with me? Okay. So now, what does this mean for our would-be stream enter? What this means is, in the meditative equipoise on emptiness, there's actually, we call it a single-pointed meditation on emptiness. Nothing is appearing to that Arya being except for emptiness, right? So there's no conventional phenomena appearing at that time. Okay. So what I'm saying is, now, this first moment when this new stream enter, the first moment they realize emptiness, they're a stream enter, right? Do they realize that they're a stream enter? Yes. Okay, so Tale is saying yes. Okay, so now there must be a mind in their mental continuum which realizes that they're a stream enter, right? So is that meditative equipoise single-pointedly focused on emptiness? Does that mind realize that they're a stream enter? Or is it another mind? So anyway, this is a little bit of a, another debate you can think of, but it seems maybe one hypothesis is, at that time, they're just in total absorption on the lack of inherent existence, and all these other thoughts don't come to the mind. Even, we say the bodhisattva on the path of seeing, right, in meditative equipoise on emptiness, there is no mind of bodhicitta that is manifest in their continuum, right? They're still a bodhisattva, but they're not thinking at that time, may I achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. They're only in complete absorption on emptiness. The only thing that's appearing to them is emptiness. So maybe in a similar way, the stream enterer, they're not thinking at that time, first moment, when they're still in meditative absorption on emptiness, they don't know they're a stream enterer. Okay. So then how do we make sense of what the Buddha is saying? Well, he can be talking about once they're up from their meditative absorption, you know, and they are entertaining various thoughts. Well, are they thinking that I'm a stream enter or not? Okay, so that's how you would get out of a particular type of debate. And I see Alexander like this. I think you have a question, or do you have a debate? Either one is fair game.
No, actually, this was my point, that if they were in meditation, they couldn't understand. They just could be same meditation, maybe some insight, but only after they get out from meditation, then after they can conclude. But without that the appearance, like appearance and belief, they couldn't like have this experience. They couldn't understand. They have a realization or not. Because it could be same as before meditation and emptiness, just more kind of vivid, but it could be same, right?
Well, if we're saying there, you know, someone who before their meditation was not an Arya being, and then in the course of that meditation attained the path of seeing, right? That would be an extremely powerful experience. Right.
But still,
yeah. But yes. Hold on. You're debating this with me last week. Okay. You need more ammunition. Okay. The point is, and what I was trying to answer last week is, yes, it is true that the appearances to their post meditative state, to their sense consciousness, would be the same. Right. It still would be an appearance of true existence. It still would be a mistaken appearance. But you see, well, one, they will have abandoned the seeds of intellectually acquired grasping to true existence. Okay. And so, well, at least according to the textbooks of Sarah J., they will then have realized the true cessation. They'll have a direct realization of the true cessation of those afflictions, right? You understand? Yeah. I'm telling. Okay. So, of course, I don't have that experience myself, but it seems like it would be, one, they would know, now I'm an Arya being, now I'm a stream enter, right? Now I've abandoned, these things, right? So although the kind of appearances to the sense consciousness is the same as one who hasn't, realized emptiness, they would have the kind of self-knowledge that, oh, now I've reached this level of the path. Okay. All right. Anyway. Oh, it's 15 minutes left. Yikes. Okay. Okay, that's one of the main things I wanted to cover today. So we have about 15 more minutes to our scheduled time. Shall we open it up for more questions? Okay, I see Talia has a question.
Yes, Venerable, thank you for your teaching. I have a question about, perhaps it's more of a terminology about the term emptiness, because a lot of time we might think when we say emptiness, and we always left out the of existent, is inherent and existent, then people may think the emptiness is having nothing, or it's just totally empty, right? Mm-hmm. So could that, like, so the true feeling of emptiness, could that just be I would imagine that it would be something fluid. So when the things constantly changing, right? So having this constant fluid state of status, like a phenomenon. So when we're going back to the person is in total absorption of the emptiness, it's still the same mind, but perhaps that mind is also aware of this emptiness, this fluid movement of phenomena. Am I getting it? Because I have a feeling that when we talk about emptiness, it just feels like it's empty, like it does not exist. But so, like, for example, in Mandarin, the word emptiness is translated always as the nature of being empty. Mm-hmm. It's only 2 words. And I find that quite helpful more helpful than English when we just talk about emptiness.
Okay, so what's the question?
It's not, it's more like, do we need to be, when we talk about the total absorption in meditation stage into emptiness, does that really mean that the person just kind of totally absorbed into the state of nothingness?
So among the many reasons why I would want to be an Arya being with direct experience of this, okay, I'm not even sure it makes the top 10 reasons of why I would want to be an Arya, but I would be able to answer this question better, right? Nonetheless, a few things. So normally in the commentaries and even in Lam Rim, they talk about the space-like, meditative state and the illusion-like post-meditative state, right? And they also talk about, and Lama Tsongkhapa spends a whole lot of time in the Essence of Eloquence, his teaching on the interpretable and definitive meaning sutras, right? Or text of Buddha, where he talks about how emptiness is a non-affirming negation, right? So some of you've heard this non-affirming negation versus negation. Yes. So basically, okay, I'll go into it a little bit. So, we have a negation word, right? Negation. So in general, if we say, for example, emptiness is a lack of inherent existence, okay? So with that phrase, lack of inherent existence, something is negated, right? Inherent existence is negated, but nothing else is, through the power of that negation, right, implied to take its place, right? We just say lack of inherent existence, but then we don't say how it exists, right? We don't imply anything in its place, okay? Whereas the affirming negation, the normal thing you'll see in the text is, fat devadatta does not eat during the day, right? Okay, so we negate something that devadatta does not eat during the day, right? But since we've said he's fat, okay, then we're implying that, he eats at night, right? So through the power of the negation of one thing, something else appears to the mind, okay? But my thought is, since Lama Tsongkhapa is spending so much time kind of establishing that, emptiness must be a non-affirming negation. This is the, and he even quotes, Nagarjuna, who says it's a non-affirming negation. Even Bhaviveka, Astratantika Madhyamika, they all the great kind of Indian masters are talking about emptiness being a non-affirming negation, right? He's actually arguing against the Jonangpa position that say that, emptiness, well, I won't get into that so much, but he's arguing with them, okay? So because of that emphasis he's placing, space, right? And when we say space-like meditative equipoise, space is also a non-affirming negation. Space is the mere obstruction of, the mere negation of obstructive contact, right? So, I move my hand through space, there's something that impedes the movement. So space is the mere lack of obstructive contact, right? So, given those analogies, I think, and based on the descriptions I see in the text, that these Arya beings in direct meditative equipoise on emptiness, there's the only thing that's appearing to the mind is this lack of inherent existence, right? And there's no, since they're an Arya being in direct meditative equipoise on emptiness, there's no other thoughts that are coming up. It's very clear in the Sarah J text that the Bodhisattvas no longer have a manifest thought, I'm going to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, even though they're Bodhisattvas, right? So then all these other things, all those other realizations that one thinks an Arya being would have are coming in the post-meditative state, right? Where they sort of, then, it's even like this, right? The Buddha, after he attained enlightenment, it said that he just stared at the tree for 7 weeks to kind of let his experience sort of sink in. To ordinary appearances, he did that, right? So I would imagine that an Arya being, right, during meditation, nothing appears except emptiness. In that post-meditative state, they would then realize, all those things.
Then would you say then the fallen beings would not have these two stages? They're just constantly in that state of mind.
Who?
Enlightened being.
Oh, like a Buddha?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. So and that's one of the special qualities of the Buddha, is that the Buddha in one mind can realize directly the conventional and ultimate truth of all phenomena. We're saying this for the sentient beings, they alternate, right? The sentient being in meditative equipoise on emptiness has the direct realization of the ultimate truth, but no conventional truth, right? In post-meditative state, they have the direct realization of conventional truths, but not the ultimate truth. But a Buddha has it all. Okay. So we have some questions that come in on the chat. So let's see. Ale. So Allison from Tasmania, please, if you could tell me the difference between the form and formless realm. Thank you. Okay. So again, we don't have time to get into this so much, but just on a very kind of brief level, we have the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. Okay. So in general, we say that a person is designated on any one of the 5 aggregates. Okay. So the formless realm, actually, they only have the 4 aggregates. They don't have the formless. They don't have the form aggregate. They don't have bodies like this. The beings in the form realm, they have bodies. Right? They have bodies like the desire realm beings, but as I was mentioning, these they don't have to eat, they don't emit foul smells, they probably don't have, like boogers and mucus and eye gunk when they wake up. I'm not even sure they have to sleep. It's a lot better than what we have. All right. So I hope that's enough. Okay, so hold on. I saw you, Andres, but we had a few more in the chat. Okay, Valez on YouTube, yes. Talia, I'm stuck with the word discriminating true existence. Is there a different word for discriminate here? So you can say conceiving true existence, right? To think of something as being truly existent. Okay, yeah, good. And then Ravi, could I please say once again, if possible, on the difference of discrimination, Arya Bodhisattva of the Prasangika and that of a Chittamatra and Vajracchedikā Prajñāpāramitā? Okay. I'm not sure I fully understand this question. So I'll answer it in two possible ways to interpret your question. Okay, Ravi? Ravi I've known for many years. I hope you're doing well. I think he's on the YouTube and rather on the Zoom. So anyway, hi, Ravi. All right, so the two ways that I can interpret this, right? One is to say first that, just to reiterate that according to the Prasangika, right, all the Buddhist tenet holders who are Arya beings, right, are necessarily Prasangika Madhyamikas. Okay, so for a Prasangika Madhyamika, there are no Vajracchedikā Aryas, there's no Chittamatra Aryas. Okay, but for the Vajracchedikā Madhyamikas as well as the Chittamatra, okay, they do hold that there can be Arya beings of other Buddhist tenet systems. Okay, now why is that? Because they differentiate between, we were saying the type of realization that someone entering the Mahayana path has to have in order to attain enlightenment, and the type of realization that is needed for the mere achievement of nirvana or personal liberation. Okay, and so for the Vajracchedikā Madhyamika as well as the Chittamatra, they hold that in order to attain the mere liberation from samsara, one only needs to realize, meditate, directly realize the lack of a self-sufficient, self-sufficient, substantially existent person. Ranket to be zeyugi tonwe nga. Okay, right? But to attain the state of full enlightenment, they need to realize not just the selflessness of person, but the selflessness of phenomena. And the selflessness of phenomena for Chittamatra is the lack of for example, the form and the eye consciousness perceiving the form, right? The emptiness of those being different substances. And for the Vajracchedikā, they let's just say true existence, right? They also hold that forms and all the conventional phenomena lack true existence, but that realization of the lack of true existence is only needed by the bodhisattvas to attain enlightenment. You don't need to realize that to attain mere arhatya. Okay? So when you then are asking me about the discrimination of an Arya Bodhisattva of Prasangika and that of Chittamatra and Vajracchedikā Madhyamika, then that is one thing just to be clear about. Okay, so then if we just take this at total face value, okay, the Arya Bodhisattvas of a Prasangika, right, will have no discrimination of true existence, The discrimination of an Arya Bodhisattva, according to the Vajracchedikā Prajñāpāramitā system, will also not have a discrimination of true existence. Yeah. Then the Arya Bodhisattva, according to the Chittamatra, would not have discrimination of the form and the eye consciousness apprehending the form of being of separate separate, different substances. Okay, and that basically is what emptiness means, right, for those three different tenet systems. Okay, so the Arya Bodhisattvas of those three different tenet systems do have direct perception of the so-called final view of those systems. Okay, all right. Next, Alexander has raised his hand, but I also saw Andres. So Alexander, you can go first.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, I have a few questions. I'm not sure how to. Let's start just one by one. Okay, the first question about when somebody meditates in emptiness, and for example, I appear, like, or some forms start to appear. What is the best way just to cut it? Like there is like not existence and just like cut it, or it's supposed to be like some analysis? In which situation you need to analyze, or which situation maybe you need just cut and continue? Kind of persons have to continue just to stay, with just kind of emptiness.
Okay. So yeah, this is difficult to answer in a kind of blanket way. Okay. So first thing I'll say is, to be very technical about it, right? None of us are meditating on emptiness. Or sorry, unless you realize emptiness, you're not meditating on emptiness, right? To be very, very, very technical about it. So what you're now talking about, before one actually gets the realization of emptiness, one, thinks, one is doing the analysis. So I guess in a kind of colloquial way of speaking, we say, oh, I'm meditating on emptiness, and, when His Holiness gives initiation, we do the, in the kind of preparation, the yoga where we, he says, meditate on bodhicitta, now meditate on emptiness. And we visualize the lotus and the Vajra. I don't want to get into that too much, right? But he tells everyone to meditate on emptiness. And we sort of, to the best of our ability, maybe think, or maybe try not to get distracted, right? So if that's what you're talking about, right, where someone who hasn't had the actual realization of emptiness, they're thinking about emptiness, they're engaging in a kind of analytical meditation on emptiness, right? Then if you're analyzing, let's say, the I, the self, does that exist inherently or not? Okay. You're going through some analysis, and then some other things come to the mind, right? It depends. If you have arrived at a strong conclusion already at the end of an analysis, right, where you then have arrived at the conclusion, oh, this doesn't inherently exist, then you're supposed to, always alternate between the analytic and placement meditations. Okay, so let's say you've arrived at the end, and now you're engaged in a placement meditation on that conclusion you've arrived at, and then it's like with other analytic meditations, then other kind of thoughts come up that distract, right? If it's like that, then just like with other analytic meditations, we try not to engage in those thoughts and stay focused on our conclusion that we came up with, right? But if that starts to kind of degenerate and take us too much away from that conclusion, then we go back in the analysis and sort of, top it up and try to arrive at that conclusion more strongly, and then do the placement again. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right. So it'll be just like, so don't get so fixated on, oh, now this meditation on emptiness is so different from the other analytic meditations that we've been doing. So similarly, even if we were to meditate on, impermanence or true suffering, right? When we arrive at that conclusion that, the cup is impermanent, the same thing. We hold it when there's distractions. We either, depending on the strength of the distraction, not engage, or sort of start over with the analysis to make it stronger.
Okay, can one more question, and then maybe Andres have a question. Yeah,
I like the confidence. Okay.
Okay, the second question about the usually it's only talk about the meditation emptiness, and then there is no meditation dependent rising. When is it to understand dependent rising? Do we need to meditate on dependent rising, or it just come naturally by the power of meditation and emptiness?
Okay. So here I would say that, remember there's these 3 different levels of dependent arising, right? And so we had dependent arising based on the causes and conditions, dependent arising on the parts, and dependent arising on the 3, the base of designation, the label, and the mind applying the label to the base, right? Okay. So that 3rd one, which is the subtlest dependent arising, right? That is only talked about by the Prajñāpāramitā, okay? That is only realized after one is first realized emptiness. Just like what we were saying earlier, that, to realize something is merely labeled by the mind, we first have to realize that it's lacking of inherent existence. So we first realize emptiness and then realize that, it's merely labeled by the mind. Same thing. We first realize that the cup is lacking inherent existence, and then we realize that the cup is a subtle dependent arising based on its base of invitation, the label, and the mind applying the label to the base. Okay, so therefore, our first job is with emptiness, right? Now, then maybe the next question that you should all be asking is, well, wait a minute, Namjong. They keep saying how the reason of dependent arising is the king of reasonings to establish emptiness. So are you saying, how can it be the king of reasoning to establish emptiness if I have to realize emptiness before I realize dependent arising? That doubt came up for all of you, I'm sure. So maybe we can think about that for next week. We don't have next week. We have tomorrow. Okay. So let's go on to Andres.
Okay. My question was regarding a previous part in the sutra, which mentioned uncompounded. I wasn't sure if I was interpreting it correctly. It says it's because Arya beings are differentiated by the uncompounded. Does that refer to permanent true cessations? So that they have true cessation, that means that they are not grasping and well, the other things.
Yeah. So this is good. So actually, you'll notice in the text that was put together, there's a note. Okay. So if you just turn to the back, I think it's what is it? Note 19. Okay. So in Kamala Shila's commentary, then actually first, sorry, Shanti, go back to the original page that he's talking about, and then we can go to the note. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Wait. Can you just search for, do you know where it is? I had it.
I think a couple of pages up. One down, sorry. There. And the second paragraph.
Yeah, okay. So here. Bhagavan, as I understand this meaning that was taught by the Bhagavan, that Dharma that was manifested and completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, and completely alignment, does not exist whatsoever. That Dharma that was taught by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. Why is that? Because any Dharma manifestly and completely realized or taught by the Tathagata is not to be grasped, not to be expressed. It is not Dharma, nor is it not Dharma. Why is that? Because Arya beings are differentiated by the uncompounded. Okay, so that's the question. What does this mean? So now go to the note, please. So Kamala Shila's commentary quotes a text which he calls Compendium of the Buddha. Ananda, that which is the non-production, the non-disintegration, the non-abiding, and the non-alteration of phenomena is the Arya truth. Ananda, the Tathagata, having considered this, said, the Arya hearers are distinguished by the uncompounded. This means that whether the Tathagatas arise or do not arise, because of permanently existing like that and unchangeable, they are uncompounded. Because of realizing that, Arya beings are distinguished by that, because the Aryas are distinguished by realizing the uniqueness of phenomena, chugi de kona, because another unique entity is unsuitable. Okay, so here it is worth saying that, again, we talked about the 4 bodies of the Buddha, right? We have the presentation into 3, presentation into 2, presentation into 4. Okay, so the presentation into 4, then the what they call the nature truth body, or the mo niku, right, is basically the emptiness, the lack of inherent existence of the Buddha, right, is the 4th body of the Buddha, is the nature truth body. Okay. So now, even the Arya hearers, right, they realize the emptiness of the Tathagata. They realize directly the wisdom truth body. Okay, so according to this commentary here and this note, Aryas are differentiated by the uncompounded, means that the Aryas of any of the classes, the Shavaka Aryas, Patigabuddha Aryas, or Mahayana Aryas, they all realize that the Tathagatas, do not inherently exist. That lack of inherent existence is permanent. It is unchangeable and is uncompounded. Okay. Good? All right. So all right, we have another question from Ravi, and then Alexander, and then, yeah. So Ravi has another question. His question is, if all Buddhas are omniscient, all Buddhas should be one and not different. Could you please guide on it? Okay, so maybe you're referring to a debate that kind of comes up. So there's basically a couple ways to look at this. One is, yes, it's true that you know, the Buddhas have no difference in terms of so although we call Avalokiteshvara the Buddha of compassion and Manjushri the Buddha of wisdom, it's not that Avalokiteshvara has more compassion and Manjushri has more wisdom. They're, you know, all the same in terms of their realization, right? Nonetheless, okay, remember, conventional truth, we're not denying. So the medicine Buddha is blue in color, right? And, you know, has a aurora plant, right? And you know, has a begging bowl like this. So, you know, Tara, green Tara is green in color, has a female form. So these things, right? There are, on a conventional level, differences. Buddha Shakyamuni is the fourth supreme embody, right? So there are these kind of conventional differences, right? And though there are these conventional differences, that doesn't then mean, or you know, somehow imply that they then couldn't have the same levels of realization. Okay. Now, what does get a little bit sort of interesting, especially when we start to talk about the Vajrayana, right? Then, you know, the Buddha, right? Buddha Shakyamuni, he appeared in the form of Vajradhara to teach Tantra. He appeared as Kalachakra, right? So similarly, you could have Buddha Shakyamuni appear in the aspect of Aryatara and appear in, well, we also say that our guru, you know, can also appear in all these various forms, right? So how then do we differentiate between, you know, Shakyamuni Buddha appearing in the aspect of Aryatara and Aryatara, right? So that becomes a little bit difficult, especially for us. Yeah, can't really make that distinction. But in any case, that's getting a little bit ahead of your question, so I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So Alexander, you made the bonus round. You get one more question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I have a question about the bodhisattvas. So it's like two questions. First, about the additional 4 perfections. Can you talk about a little more about there is 6, but then additional 4. And the second question about the bodhisattvas. If they on the beginning, almost on the beginning, they realize emptiness and bodhicitta. So, and it's a lot of grounds after that. So the progression of them, it's only like just my, like how I see it. So progression goes by the by meditation skills, that the concentration become more like kind of stronger, so they can have more wisdom, more insight, or in some what was the reason for them to progress?
Okay.
What conditions? Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'll answer the second question first, because that's more, more, I guess, it's going to come up more, right? So here, the point is, right, your question was, how do bodhisattvas progress along the 10 grounds?
Yes, because they already realized both, bodhicitta and emptiness, but
Right. Okay. So remember, we were saying that the bodhisattvas have to complete these accumulations of merit and transcendental wisdom, right? They, in general, once you attain the first ground, which is the path of seeing, yes, you have direct realization of emptiness, and the second ground bodhisattva, the third ground bodhisattva, and so forth. They all have same kind of direct realization of emptiness, right? So the difference is, and how so let me say this: how they progress along the path is they're gradually completing these accumulations of merit and transcendental wisdom. In the post-meditative state, they're engaging in the accumulation of the merit, right? They're engaging in making offerings, ethical discipline, practicing patience, right? They build up their store of merit. Then they meditate on emptiness again, okay? When their store of merit becomes, sufficiently strong that they can then progress from the first ground to the second ground, okay? They then sit again in meditative equipoise on emptiness. During that meditation, okay, remember we were saying there are these 9 levels of the desire realm afflictions, right? So actually, the form realm afflictions and the formless realm afflictions also have those 9, okay? The path of seeing, the uninterrupted path of seeing, is the direct antidote to the intellectually acquired afflictions, okay? Then you still have all of the innate afflictions, right? Those 9 rounds of the innate afflictions are abandoned by the bodhisattvas, Arya bodhisattvas, right? So at a certain point, through their accumulation of merit, their meditative equipoise on emptiness becomes strong enough that it can serve as the direct antidote for the big of the big afflictions of the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. When that happens, they attain the second ground, right? First by attaining the uninterrupted path of seeing, which is like the last moment of the first ground. And then once they've actually abandoned the great of the great afflictions of the 3 realms, they've attained the second ground. And then they wake up, or they arise from the meditative equipoise, again accumulate in the merit, and in this time they could meditate again on emptiness, no problem. But if they haven't yet completed their accumulation of merit, that meditation on emptiness won't have the strength to abandon the medium of the great, So anyway, they keep doing like this. You understand? They alternate between meditation on emptiness and the post-meditation. They're accumulating merit and, accumulation of transcendental wisdom. That's how they progress through the grounds. You understand? So the kind of conduct, right? The to-do list, so to speak, is the same for all of these bodhisattvas, right? They're all working on their accumulations of merit and transcendental wisdom, right? Right. So it's not that they are engaging in different things, but it's more that through the power of their merit, that meditation on emptiness gets stronger and stronger, and then has the ability to get stronger in terms of its ability to abandon the innate afflictions. Do you understand?
Is it goes general for all, like even for attain regular kind of shamatha? That's for sure. Is it apply the same for shamatha, to attain shamatha? Like you need to accumulate a certain merit, and then in only that merit can kind of be a result for a person to attain shamatha.
Yes, of course. I mean, hey, even to eat breakfast tomorrow, you need to have had a lot of merit, right? Seriously, I mean, these hungry ghosts.
I understand.
No, you know, they go 10,000 years without even getting a drop because of lack of merit, right? So we were saying why we need merit. Every kind of success, worldly success, you know, they say even on a hot day to get a cool breeze on the back of your neck requires merit. So of course, any kind of realization, you're needing merit, right?
No, just I wonder, because a lot of people try to meditate on shamatha, you know, and they just meditate, but they not much saying that actually they need to do a lot of merit and purification, and then only then they can do it.
There's not much.
No, but
saying.
Really,
I'm just saying to you right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you.
No. So this is actually, in my opinion, and sorry, if you guys have to leave, I've seen already some people leave. That's fine, good. But in my opinion, this is one of the very great, skillful means of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, right? Where, you know, so much emphasis on, you know, accumulation of merit, purification, isn't it? Right? I mean, who else? You know, 100,000 light offerings, and, you know, all these water bowls and all this stuff, right? Why is that? Because merit is the you know, source of success for anything that we're trying to do. I mean, of course, it's not that Lama Zopa Rinpoche made this up, right? Even in the liberation the tech beginners on the path, important for us to engage in purification and accumulation of merit. And, you know, it's following Manjushrie's own advice to Lama Tsongkhapa, right? Where, you know, Manjushri told Lama Tsongkhapa, you know, to attain realization, one needs to engage in purification, accumulation of merit, making supplications to your guru inseparable from your deity, and then your meditation, right? So those, if there are teachers who aren't talking about that for, you know, shamatha, they're not talking right. Okay.
About bodhisattvas for perfection.
Yeah, well, you know, these aren't really talked about very much, but, you know, we have the top, monlam, and yeshe, right? So it's what skillful means, power, aspiration, and yeshe, as opposed to for like transcendental wisdom, you know, like, right? The name 7, which has 10 chapters, each of which is corresponding to one of the bodhisattva grounds. You know, so much. The 6th chapter is like 239 stanzas, right? The 7th chapter, 1 stanza. 8th chapter, 2 stanzas. You know, 9th chapter, I think, is again 1 stanza. You know, so in the text, there's not much emphasis. You know, the main body of the you know, Majjhimika Avatara is chapter 6, which is the chapter on, you know, the Vajracchedikā Prajñāpāramitā, the direction of wisdom. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and actually, in Lama Tsongkhapa's own presentation of his commentary on the Abhisamaya Alankara, he actually says that those perfections of 7 through 10 can be thought of as branches actually of the perfection of wisdom itself. So anyway, I'm not just giving excuses, but I'm saying if Chandrakirti in his own text placed that much emphasis on the sixth perfection, and then the 7 through 10 was a little bit of an afterthought. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but in our own studies, we don't really go into that very much, and so I can't answer so much detail about what that is. But just from the names, right? When we talk about skillful means, it's about knowing the various dispositions of different disciples, right? When we talk about power, we're talking about the bodhisattva, having the kind of power to enact different kinds of, either displaying miraculous kind of emanations in order to seduce sentient beings. When we talk about aspirations, then we talk about the vast kind of bodhisattva aspirations that they make, right? And then when we talk about the yeshe, yeah, it's a kind of the wisdom of the 10th ground bodhisattva that is actually going to be the direct antidote to not only the afflictive obscurations, but the subtle obscurations to enlightenment. So, yeah, sorry.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's it. Oh, there's 3 more chats. Okay, so Ravi again. So Ravi and Alexander are competing. Who can have the most questions? I'm joking. In general, I love questions, right? So will the small of the small be removed on the path of meditation itself or on the path of normal learning of the Bodhisattva path? Okay, so here again, Ravi, you really want a grounds and path course, it seems. So I'll just answer you in brief. But we have the, according to the Prasangika Madhyamika, right? Okay, first, according to the Sacchandika Madhyamika, one who has not first entered the Hinayana path and became an arhat, and then, just straight away enters the Bodhisattva path, they abandon the afflictive obscurations and the obscurations to omniscience at the state of enlightenment only, right? You understand? But for the Prasangika Madhyamika, one abandons the obscurations to liberation on the 8th ground, and then grounds 8, 9, or 8, 9, 10, they abandon the obscurations to omniscience. So when we're talking about the small of the small, we're talking about the afflictions of the desire realm, form realm, formless realm. We were primarily talking about that in relation to the Shravakas who go through these, stream enter, once returner, non-returner, arhat, but you can also apply it to the bodhisattvas. So in Prasangika Madhyamika, the obscurations to liberation are abandoned on the path of meditation, okay? And are abandoned by the 8th ground. Okay, so let's end here because it is getting a little bit late and dark, and more people are trying to leave. Okay, so thank you very much. We have another session, our last session this month, let's say, tomorrow at the same time. So Shanti, let's just do a brief dedication if you can pull those up. So due to all the 3-time merit accumulated on self, as well as all the 3-time merit accumulated by the numberless sentient beings and numberless Buddhas, may the precious Supreme Bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. Samsara and nirvana, like even an animate inherent existence and cause and effect independent arising or betraying. I seek your blessings to discern the meaning of Nagarjuna's thought, that these two are mutually complementary and not contradictory. However many sick sentient beings there are, may they quickly be free from all sicknesses. May all the sicknesses, without exception of transmigratory beings, never occur again. And all my lives never separated from perfect gurus may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. And by completing the qualities of the grounds and path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. By the force of the victorious one, so called by acting as my direct mind and virtuous friend in all my lives, may I never turn away for even a second from the pure path highly admired by the victorious ones. Okay, keep going. Due to all the past, present, future merits collected by me, the numberless Buddhas and numberless sentient beings, which are completely empty of existence from their own side, may I, who am completely empty of existing from my own side, achieve the state of full enlightenment, which is completely empty of existing from its own side, and the all sentient beings who are completely empty of existing from their own side to that state, which is completely empty of existing from its own side by myself alone, who am completely empty of existing from my own side. I further dedicate all these virtues to be able to train, just like here in Manjushri knows reality, and just like some other Vajra as well. I further dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication, praises the best by the, although gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. The wish fulfilling, incomparably kind, and Supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish granting, wish fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may you have a long life, and may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You hold the subduer's moral way, who serve as bound bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the 3 sublime ones, savor myself and all your disciples. Please, please live long. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. And a bit of advertising. I don't know if you guys have you been following the prayer-a-thon sessions on Sunday. Right, these are the Tangtong Gyalpo prayers for the COVID crisis. So that is every Saturday. They've been going on for many months now. So anyway, that's going on today. I'm actually leading a session in a few minutes, so I'm also having to leave for that. But I think Venerable Losang, I think you're doing one later today. I saw your name on the schedule. So if you have time, it's a very good thing to do. So a little bit of advertising about that. Okay, namaste, tashile.